So as you can see, we're able to synchronize with your Active Directory. If I wanted to assign a software group or a patch policy or some sort of prohibited software list against these OUs, I could very easily do so. And as you bring people on board and you add a new device into your OUs, they will inherit then any actions affiliated with this device group to receive, again, this software or whatever it might be. You can also do things based on exception. So because I'm able to run a software inventory, I'm able to create a group of users that do not have Flash. I could then assign the Flash software application installed to that group. And as a machine came online that did not have Flash, it would become part of that group, inherit that command, and suddenly they would have Flash and, of course, fall out of this group. Now, these groups can also, as I mentioned, be used for very, very quick reporting. If I want to drill down, let's say, into my active demo group and look at the inventory data in aggregate, perhaps at the security products that are installed to see, I don't know which VPN clients exist, maybe by name. As you can see here, of the 5 devices that exist, 3 of them have the Cisco AnyConnect, 5 all of them have the VPN for Microsoft, and I can look at this in a pie or a bar chart and have drill down capability directly into those devices. So very quick to get data, very quick to get reporting, whether it's hardware, software, patch, it's all just an inventory component, and I can point in time gather that data on those device groups as I've shown you just now. If we take a look at a single device and talk about everything we're able to gather from an inventory perspective, we have here our summary screen. This happens to be my device I'm working on here right now. As you can see, it's a Windows 7 device, 64-bit. Gives me everything pertinent about that device regarding who's on it, what type of device it is, what domain it's on, etc. And then your hardware summary screen. Now, while this is a good amount of information, it's not everything we collect by any stretch of the imagination. I can always drill down into the hardware inventory if I want a deeper dive on, say, the keyboard, and get that data if I need to. But for the most part, the inventory summary screen is what people reference most often to be able to understand and gather the information they require. From a software perspective, we have a similar screen. We allow you to toggle between the add and remove programs, the raw applications. We also interrogate the MSI database to see which applications were deployed through a push technology. And then we also provide a web browser scan to understand what customers are using on their endpoints. We also, of course, run a security settings inventory. And what this is going to tell you is, am I protected? Am I up to date? Do I have any shares? Do I have any firewalls? Mapped drives? Local admin accounts? Startup programs? Local network audit and security policies, patches installed, ports open, a variety of settings that I can throw into this tab here. All this inventory can be scheduled based on location, based on device type, based on any parameters you want. And the way that our data collection works is a very efficient model in that the individual endpoints have a baseline inventory of everything we've collected. So as an end user plugs in a new piece of equipment, as they add RAM, as they install new software, as they launch an application, as they run a virus scan, that information is kept locally to that device, just those changes, and at a regular interval, that information is sent back up to the master server, giving me my change history. So if I wanted to drill down into that as an example, I could go into my software inventory. Oh, that was security. I can go into my software inventory. I can go into my history. I can look at what was added and when, what was removed and when, and anything that was updated and when. Based on time frame, based on object criteria, I can hide things I don't care about. I can also look at things based on scan or based on how we license applications. And this is another unique factor that we bring to the table with regards to software license management. We have built into the application a software catalog, so we're not just looking at all these executables. We've done the heavy lifting of aggregating that data into something that's consumable and usable by you. We understand that, as Microsoft releases a patch, it can change the physical footprint of your Excel.exe, and having you manage that and having to add all those different versions and flavors of MS Excel.exe into a license bucket can be a very daunting task. So we have a software catalog where you simply identify the packages that you care to manage. Again, everything is done through our wizard-based approach. I can look at a subset based on the applications I care about, or I can look at anything that I've simply found and installed. We go into Apple, for example. Maybe I care about, I don't know, the software update, or Bonjour, or the iPod service. Maybe if we go into BMC here, we have the CM product that we just discussed. I can say I want to license this, and say, okay, I can choose whether I want to meter this application as well, which keeps track of how often someone uses a particular piece of software and on which devices. I can then enter at a very high level the amount of licenses that I own. I can then evaluate this license title against a subset of my inventory. I can say that they're unauthorized, click Finish, and look at then what we call our software license dashboard. As you can see, my software license count threshold is exceeded. I apparently have some indicator that says that I always want to have more on hand than I have installed, and I've breached that. No one's been authorized. Therefore, we have a problem as well. I am non-compliant. I can drill down into those that are non-compliant. I can see the devices that have it, and I can now, if I choose to, authorize these devices. Come back into my dashboard, reevaluate, which does occur on a schedule, refresh, and now I see 2 purchased, 2 authorized, 2 installed. I'm green across the board, and over here shows me what percentage of my group is allowed to or has the software authorized. Now, because I chose to meter this as well, as time goes on and the application is launched and executed, it's going to show me, of those 5 devices, how many have launched in the last month, 3 months, 12 months, or a year, or unknown. So this is a great way to be able to manage your licenses, understand who's using them and why. If you're at your threshold and someone requests another copy, you can look here to see if nothing's available. I can simply reallocate if someone hasn't launched it in over a year. If I want to drill down into the and do so to understand, you know what, they launched it a year ago, and when they did so, it was for 5 seconds. Probably not something that they need to have truly installed on their device. I could then choose to reallocate, uninstall, and push deploy that software to that new individual. From a license perspective, as asset capability, we do have the component here where I can enter in more information regarding this piece of software, how much it costs, where I obtained it from, any dates or phone numbers that might be relevant, and the product comes with alert conditions that you can either enable or define against all of these things. So software maximum count exceeded, threshold approach, expiration. That way you're kept up to date and don't fall behind on your maintenance agreements or your license contracts. Now, while I've shown you the software metering and the application monitoring, we also have the inverse of that, which is the ability to prohibit applications, which is the real-time execution prevention, and we can protect applications so that if anything regarding an application changes you don't want it to, it will revert back to its prior state. With that, I'm going to take this opportunity to show you our remote control feature. Our remote control feature does allow for what we call direct access to a device. This is actually my device. I'm not sure why it won't let me connect. Let's do this one here. If I want to look at the file system of this device, I can drill down directly into that device. It is the file system of my server out in the cloud. If I want to make a registry change, I could do that as well, or view a registry setting. Create keys, remove keys, change strings, etc. I can also look at the running services on this device. Stop them, start them, restart them, change their startup type. View the running processes, kill them, start new ones. Or view the event logs, Windows events, etc. I can also do real-time remote control. We do a very great job of handling multiple monitors. They will show up here in the toolbar, 1 monitor, 2 monitor, 3 monitors, or I can pan and scan across them. Here's that command window I launched just a moment ago. I can also drop this back into my console. Here's where I can show you. I believe I have this application prohibited. Oh, yes, I do. So if you don't want users to run applications, I can prohibit them from doing so. Of course, that reports back up to the master server, and I can run reports against that based on my demand or need to do so. Now back on the inventory, we also have our compliance section. And our compliance section lets me define policies that I want to evaluate against my machine to see if they are compliant, non-compliant, or I haven't gathered all the data yet. And what this allows me to do and understand is what machines are missing what values or what configuration elements do I need to push down to these machines to make them compliant. So as you can see here, my compliance state is pretty good. I've got a couple of data elements I need to capture in order to evaluate. Here I am non-compliant. I can drill down into that to see what's going on. Apparently I have, what do I have? Patch management installed and enabled, so I am not running my patch solution. So I have a problem there. I'm non-compliant, but I am compliant with regards to my firewall, with regards to my anti-spyware. I can do multiple rules. So here we see that physical memory computer system is greater than 510. I have free space greater than that, and my BIOS date is greater than some other date down here. And these groups, this compliance area, makes its way back into our device groups from a management perspective. I can group machines based on non-compliance. So I can take my antivirus absent and associate my antivirus product, at which point they would become present and compliant. We go back into the inventory. I also want to do a deeper dive on some things that we capture, particularly around patch management. I can look at my missing patches, and again, I get more of a dashboard view. I can see that I'm missing 24 patches, which is why I was non-compliant, because I believe some of them were of the critical nature, and here they are. Our patch management solution doesn't just patch your Windows products, but as well all your third-party, as we are powered by the Shavlik engine, but it's our distribution model. We simply leverage Shavlik for the definition files, which allow us to understand when you're missing an Adobe patch, a WinZip patch, a Firefox patch, an iTunes patch, or any of the Windows patches that you typically would consider. Now, you can create a patch strategy based on perhaps a sample machine like this and say, you know what, I want to patch all my critical patches. This shows me the patches and launches me into a wizard, like everything I mentioned that we would do. And here's an example of a patch wizard where I can walk through and identify the machine to pull the patches down, create a new patch group. And the patch group contains the language settings, the patches, an informational window so I can understand, present the end user with a dialogue to help them understand why we're patching them, when we're patching them, if they can extend the countdown, what to do during patching, locking their keyboard, giving them a message saying, please step away while we perform this operation, and then our reboot and our schedule options. So now patching can be done from a single machine, as you see there, or of course I can leverage our patch detection, define a strategy. We have those groups like I mentioned, and very quickly I'm going to show you all the products we support. When we do patch management, we do so in 3 phases. We first scan your environment to understand what you're missing. You then define your strategy, and then we deploy and report against those devices.